All right, today we're going to dive into a project that gets into the creator community, one of the things that's kind of close to my heart, but also ties into how blockchain may change the way that you watch videos, listen to podcasts, all those kind of things. And it's a project called XCAD. And I know you guys helped us get the founders on and some of the team, so thanks a lot for all your work. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's dive in today, and that is with Mr. Oliver Bell, who's the CEO over at XCAD Network. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, so Oliver, let's get into it. For some of our viewers understand blockchain. They understand the kind of the block and tackling version of blockchain, the Solanas of the world, the Adas of the world. You get into other utility projects and it starts to get a little fuzzy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to us what XCAD does, what kind of problems does it solve?
Okay, cool. So XCAD Network is an NFT and fan token platform for content creators, specifically YouTubers at launch. And why we came up with, similar like Chili's, right? I'm sure you guys are aware of kind of Chili's. And the reason why we came up with this is because we had a lot of kind of people in our network that were trying to become YouTubers. And they were making really, really good content, but they were really struggling to grow, because YouTube is a very saturated space now. And this was, so there's another business, a previous business, which was a kind of an e-learning platform for kind of how to become a YouTuber. And some of the students, they were really struggling. So I was like, okay, how do we solve the problem of, you can't grow on YouTube type thing, because these people are making phenomenal content. So I kind of asked around in my network, to some of the bigger content creators I know, because I've got a good network of content creators. What is the main kind of metric you look for if a video is going to do well? And how does it do we think the YouTube algorithm works? And they were explaining to me, okay, if the video has a kind of a high watch time, it's more likely to get suggested to kind of more people. And this is where it kind of clicked. We need to start rewarding people for kind of consuming 80% more of someone's video. So the kind of creator, a new creator, like when we first built this, we've got massive names involved now, which you've probably seen, but we were trying to go for kind of small names. So the problem we're trying to solve, one of the problems was obviously growth. So, if I watch 80% more of your video now, for example, Paul, you're more likely to get suggested to other people on YouTube, which is going to help your growth. Another problem is there's a massive gap between kind of fans and the kind of creator. These fans of these creators, they love the YouTubers and they struggle to really get close to them. There's kind of a lack of loyalty structure. So that's another problem we're solving. And the other one is kind of a financial problem, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say, Paul, you're a YouTuber. Let's not say you're a crypto YouTuber, okay? Because crypto YouTubers earn more money than a traditional YouTuber. Let's say you have 50,000 subscribers. You're doing okay. You're still balancing a 9 to 5 kind of traditional job. You're not too sure where you're going financially. You really want to put more time into content creation, but you don't really know where you're going financially with it, right? What we kind of allow, and I'll get into exactly how it works in a second on kind of token splits, is if you kind of join XCAD Network and you put in time, you make good content, you hit certain milestones, that you're going to unlock kind of capital. And I can get into exactly how the kind of fan tokens and kind of watch to earn stuff comes in if you want me to.
Sure, for sure. Okay, so the layer and the challenges obviously around the creator side of it, but also on the side of the audience itself, because it does open up an opportunity for, fans to, one, not only get close to creators, but also start to earn potential, aspects in terms of cryptocurrency. So all of this plays on almost like the play to earn space within the gaming sector. Now the move to earn, if you look at projects like Stepa and all those kind of things, really kind of leans in on where this is going with video and content consumption. Right now, you're focused on YouTube. Is there any plan to go into like the podcast layers with Spotify, iTunes, things of that nature?
I think possibly, but I think we have announced that we're going to also operate on Twitch, and we do have that working internally, because a lot of these YouTubers also have a Twitch channel.
Right.
I think we want to kind of walk before we can run. I want to make sure that the product's perfect and working well, and then we can kind of look at exploring other avenues. Not just stuff like Spotify and stuff. Instagram. Imagine if you can build the fan token into kind of all the social channels. That would be kind of the long-term goal. But I just want to kind of walk before we can kind of run.
Yeah, absolutely. Explain the tokenomics. How does the XCAD token become value? How does it, keep from becoming inflationary? Because as this could be something, especially get into creators like, KSI and Mr. Beast. I know they're on your website. I mean, these are massive creators, and Mr. Beast probably one of the top 10 creators in the world. Is this something that, from a tokenomics standpoint, explain how that would work with this kind of exposure and this kind of potential, watch to earn type framework?
Sure. I tell you what, a good place to start here might be me talking you through the process of you making pool token, for example. All right, that might be a
Yep.
good way of doing it. So you would come to the XCAD Network community. We've got a governance portal. The community, you'd say, I want to make my kind of token. The community would kind of vote. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into the exact economics of the creator tokens because they're not quite out yet. But I'm just going to use a billion tokens, for example. Okay. Let's say you're approved as a billion tokens that are a billion pool tokens that are kind of being issued. Okay. Um,
Okay.
the first pot is a CLO pot, right? So, and this is where the XCAD token comes in first of all, right? So a little bit like your traditional launch pads, like you've seen DAOmaker and stuff, crypto users would come in. So this bit's not really targeted at retail because we've got two different audiences here, really. Crypto users would come in, you'd stake XCAD. The longer you stake it, or the more you stake, the more chance you have of getting into the sale. Okay, so it's basically a launch pad. But where this differentiates from a traditional launch pad is if you now go and do an ICO on DAOmaker, for example, the capital goes towards the company, right? This
Right.
is basically on the XCAD Launchpad. It's called a creator liquidity offering. So you would come in, let's say the pool token's the first offering. I come in, I stake my XCADs, I win allocation. Let's just say pool's raising 100,000 XCADs. Okay, this is initial liquidity, and this varies depending on your subscriber and how kind of big you are. So I come in as an investor and I want to invest in pool. In the pool token, I put in, let's say you're raising 100,000 XCADs, I put in 10,000 XCADs into that offering, okay, which is 10% of the pool, right? The pool fills up. That pool is now taken. So these XCADs are now taken and they're locked into a liquidity pool, kind of locked off the market. Of course, in permanent loss, some tokens can still come back into the market. And that's kind of how we bootstrap liquidity and how I would win as kind of an early kind of bootstrapper of liquidity. I would get a percentage of the pool tokens that are kind of up for grabs. So it's a little bit like, so 10%, for example, in this case, if there's 100,000 raised and I'm putting 10,000 in, this makes the XCAD token kind of extremely deflationary. It helps bootstrap the liquidity for the kind of creator tokens. And I'll get onto where they're kind of traded in a minute. So we've got a DEX. So that's that's the first part. Okay. The second part is, we call it the viewer pot. Okay. So Paul, you've got a lot of loyal fans. They already watch your content, right? And you want to grow as well. So you say to your fans, and this is where, I think we're very different to what anyone else has done in the space, because you would come in and you say, okay, guys, you already watch my content. If you download the XCAD Network plugin, which is already approved on the Chrome store, for example,
Yep.
and you watch 80% more of my video without any changes to your workflow at all, you're going to start getting rewarded in a pool token. Okay, if you watch 80% or more, and obviously with this pool token, it's a bit like air miles or kind of loyalty scheme. You basically can earn it and you can also buy it. I'll get onto that in a second. And you can use this token to, governance is one thing, but I think we've seen from kind of version 1 of fan tokens that governance is not really enough for fan tokens to be successful. But governance is definitely in there. You can stake it to get access to certain perks, so you might have a concert, you might have a private Discord channel where you put in trading signals, you might have Instagram close friends, it really NFT drop merchandise. It really does depend. It's kind of like I like to think of it as Patreon. Yeah, a little bit
Sure.
like Patreon,
Yep.
where people can kind of stake in this case, and kind of get access to perks. Of course, these tokens can also be purchased through the plugin, and I'll get onto that in a minute. This is a very retail product, by the way, so we're not aiming at the crypto user as such. So, with a debit or credit card, a user can come in on the plugin. Because you're not gonna get rich from watching YouTube videos. We're seeing with stuff like GMT, it's not sustainable. But I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna say, okay, cool, I want to get 5,000 pool tokens because I want to be on a show next week. Let's just use that for example. I use a debit, credit card, Apple Pay, or Google Pay within the plugin alone, and I would then buy XCAD tokens right directly. And these XCAD tokens, we've designed it almost like a game credit, right? So it doesn't really feel like cryptocurrency. Those XCAD tokens are now purchased off the market at a premium price, let's say 5% above market price. And then in the app, I can literally just click swap, which uses a DEX liquidity pool but the user doesn't know it's obviously linked to a DEX for pool tokens, and I can use them in the app for different stuff. The third part here is what we call your pot pool. So you obviously need some incentive in order to kind of, I'm going to say, promote your token, promote the plugin. Okay. So the more you do promote the plugin, the longer time goes on, the more you grow on YouTube, and better your token does, we have an algorithm. You slowly, over time, unlock pool tokens, which obviously, because liquidity is growing and demand is growing for your token as well as the utility, you can slowly sell some to the market to kind of, I'm going to say fund your YouTube career further. And the last part is what we call kind of a burn pot. So kind of as you grow pool, and we do verified views kind of from the plugin, we can kind of verify, because obviously there's a lot of bots and stuff on YouTube. We can, we can burn tokens off, and slowly hopefully, I don't want to talk too much about the price, but the kind of goal is the supply kind of goes down and there's more demand type thing, So that's basically the actual plugin thing, in kind of a nutshell. And I think where a lot of people have gone wrong in this space, and I've been in here since about 2015, 2016, I've seen these content businesses, right? And they're all like, oh, we're replacing YouTube, right? You are never, ever, and no one's done this yet. You're never going to be able to compete against likes like Google, right? And never, because these content creators, they're never going to go off YouTube either. So why not add further value on top of YouTube and kind of another layer on top of YouTube? And I don't think anyone's done this yet. And for me, this is a kind of perfect bridge. I like to call it Web 2.5, but it's a kind of perfect bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. And everyone's saying, it's really hard to onboard users to Web3. But when these YouTubers all start promoting the plugin and their fan token, they're not promoting it as a kind of cryptocurrency. They promote it more as a kind of gamified experience. And this could be one of the most scalable dApps in the space. We've announced YouTubers with 300 or 400 million subscribers so far that are all making fan tokens. They're all promoting the plugin. I don't see anything else that kind of scales like that.
All right, so I want to thank our sponsor today, and that is VAULD. If you guys are looking to build wealth automatically with crypto, you can earn, borrow, and trade. A lot of things happening here with VAULD, a ton of capability of getting weekly payouts, earning interest on your crypto, and of course, a lot of pretty good rates here as well. If you look at their fixed term deposits, Bitcoin coming in at 6.7%, even ETH at 6.7%, USDT at 12.68, and even USDC at 12.68. So some very good capabilities here. Also, if you look at their rates just in general, overall, you've got savings rates, all optional, to where you guys can get into VAULD, interest rates you can receive as soon as you deposit your funds into VAULD. Savings rate APY at 4.6. If you go to fixed deposits, 6.7. So this is another one of those projects out there that is doing a phenomenal job in terms of being able to offer yield, because that is one of the things. Passive income is one of the key elements around growing your crypto wealth in times like right now. So if you're looking at passive wealth and earning it, you've got to be able to select the right places. So make sure and check out VAULD. It's build your wealth automatically with crypto, earn, borrow, and trade. We're going to put some links down in the section below, so you'll be able to find how to get to it, a little bit about it, and of course, be able to jump into VAULD. It looks to me like it's mostly traditional gaming YouTubers. Are you finding that there's creators of all walks that are looking to go into this, or are you finding this centralizing into one area, like gaming, which is very rich on the Twitch network? Obviously, within YouTube, there's a handful of those that kind of float back and forth, and you've got a lot of pop culture style in there. If you think Mr.Beast or KSI. Is that more of the target, or do you think smaller channels or smaller creators can also accelerate on XCAD as well?
I mean, you're the first person to pick up kind of the genre of YouTubers, so I'm quite glad you have. There is a reason for that. We are going to try and kind of cover all genres, but mainly because we're trying to make a user feel like the crypto they're engaging with is not crypto, and it's not scary. There's no private keys. There's nothing. It's like a game,
right?
Staking stuff, and we have an NFT marketplace where you can open kind of packs with the fan tokens. It's almost like a game, and targeting YouTubers that mainly have a gaming audience, I think are going to be a lot more familiar with the product, and it's going to be a lot easier to kind of I'm going to say kickstart adoption.
Yeah. Well, and I think the key there too is what you're getting at is that you need a barrier of entry to be very low and be able to also scale, from the plugin to get to masses out there that would not necessarily look at it as a crypto play, even though it in fact is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to go in that direction. How are you getting around, I shouldn't say getting around, but how are you dealing with the regulatory side of YouTube? Because there's a lot of EULA elements within the user agreement, the community guidelines, all those things that we have to abide by. How are you guys sidestepping that? Because this appears that it might cause problems there.
Sure. In terms of the terms of service, there's no actual terms of broken, but I will tell you one problem that we did come across. So when I first came up with this concept, we were using the YouTube API originally, okay, and obviously if Google have a kind of a problem with kind of the Google, using the API, they don't like what you're doing. They can kind of just cut it off. Never mind, API just changes. We had a internal version a long time ago, and the API was changing all the time, and it was just not sustainable. We kind of redesigned the technology to kind of escape that type of thing. I'm not going to go into too much detail on how the tech works because I don't want to get told off by my security team. Um, but that's one thing. That's the main thing we kind of had to get around, and it was a big headache. But the thing is now we've actually been approved to the Chrome store. The link is private at the minute. But we don't have any issues in terms of from a legal standpoint or from a technology standpoint. The API issue was kind of the main one to kind of resolve, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. I guess one of the things I look at, when you think about the more sophisticated, creators that are out there, they are creating fan communities. They're doing a lot of additional services. Maybe, if you look at someone like a Logan Paul who's created an entire, empire based on everything from NFTs to merch to you get in now to external careers that
Yep.
he's implemented into. And now we're talking about the top of the food chain here when it comes to creators. Not a lot of those types. However, if we've done a lot of research on this just on creator channels, and there's actually a lot of Logan Pauls in a lot of these smaller categories. They're the Logan Paul of food, they're the Logan Paul of fashion, the Logan
Yep.
Paul of XYZ. They're creating communities that are fairly large, but they're not necessarily these gargantuan worldwide, beaters. Do you see that as being a potential in the future? I mean, if you are going to scale XCAD, the key here is, I mean, what is there, 2 million creators, I think, now on YouTube? What's the likelihood of this being able to get to scale where maybe you have, 300,000 creators on the network?
I think that's a really good question, and from kind of my point of view, yes, because this product was originally developed, as I said at the start. We weren't trying to get big YouTubers when we actually were trying to help small creators, which was the start. And the big YouTubers were coming to us and they were like, well, this is actually quite cool. We kind of want to get
Yeah,
involved with this. And I was like, what, really? Like, it changed a little bit, but we decided just to change it because in terms of, I'm going to say, building a brand, kind of from a marketing point of view, it's bigger to kind of kick off with bigger names. We will be going, kind of out to the more less known, I'm going to say YouTubers, not just by by size, but by, like you said, the Logan Pauls of food, for example. I think there's going to be a massive snowball effect, right? When the big ones start talking about it and using it, and it's working. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of data that we're going to have to gather when we first launch
yeah,
these things. No one's ever marketed something like this before. No one's ever done
yeah,
a human fan token like this with an element of watch to earn. In terms of economics and marketing, there's going to have to be a lot of A/B testing going on. But once that's right and creators are making money and fans are happy and it's a sustainable system, we're not trying to be like I'm going to say a GMT, which with GMT is kind of up and down. We're trying to make something more kind of sustainable. The snowball effect, because YouTube is, you're talking about different genres, but everyone's kind of connected. Everyone kind of knows each
yeah.
other in the space. And this thing will just be like a snowball effect. And we've gone from us approaching YouTubers. Even now, we have a lot of YouTubers coming to us, and we're kind of building an onboarding process. But I think the snowball effect will be huge, and I don't see a reason why you can't have 2,000-3,000 YouTubers on this in the future.
How are you dealing with the bot problem that exists on YouTube? What's this framework? Because I mean, there's been a lot of companies that have tried to attack this and have failed.
Yeah.
What makes XCAD different?
Okay, so we actually recently hired someone from EA Sports that designed EA Sports kind of FIFA security. So we have a lot of stuff kind of, I'm going to say, in place. And like I said, I don't want to go exactly into the details because if I do, I'm probably compromising a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say it's impossible to bot, but it won't be profitable to bot. So that's going to be, it's impossible to stop bots. You're seeing bots on GMT.
Right.
I'm not going to sit
Yeah.
here and say you're going to stop everything. I would say it's quite difficult to bot. It's probably still possible, but I don't think it'll be profitable.
Okay. All right. Fair
But
enough.
I guess people will see this when people are going to try and bot it. That's the
Yeah,
truth.
for sure. I mean, anytime you have something like this, of course, yeah, it's dealing with potential monetary aspects. So, you guys have an event coming up in New York City here on the 16th of June. So, what's
That's
happening there?
correct. You can attend, Paul. You should come if you're around.
What's going to be there?
uh, okay, cool. So we've actually not really. publicly too much about what's going to be here, but you can expect some big creators, some big news and announcements, and some further details about rollout and some other stuff. We've tried not to say too much about it and kind of leave it a little bit open. It will be live streamed to people from about 6:30, 7 p.m. EST, probably until about 9 o'clock EST. But we've really not. I don't want to say too much about exactly what's going on, because I think the more you leave to people to kind of think about stuff, the more they kind of enjoy watching the event. Kind of what's coming
Yeah,
up.
for
There'll
sure.
be a few big names from the crypto space there as well, talking about kind of the technology and kind of XCAD as well, and big YouTubers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, you never know. I mean, I'm in Miami, so that's an easy flight right there to to New York. And we're always interested in finding out, especially in new technologies, as you kind of pace into what's happening, in the game, especially around creator side. Let's look at the roadmap a little bit. Can you talk to what's next for you guys, where you are in terms of frame right now, and what it might look like, say, in the next 12 to 18 months?
Okay, sure. So I'll talk about from a technology standpoint, and also kind of from a a rollout standpoint as well. Okay. So our ecosystem consists of, unlike a lot of other projects, we have lots of different components of our ecosystem. We're not just building a product, we're building a complete ecosystem. Some projects would just build a DEX. Our ecosystem consists of a governance portal, where obviously this is where the creator voting happens as well, by the way, and also the
Right.
XCAD voting, influencer market cap, the DEX, Influencer Market Cap, Governance Portal, plugin, and the NFT Moments. Now, in terms of completed products, we've rolled out the DEX now, Influencer Market Cap, the Governance Portal. The two left is NFT stuff, which kind of plays into economics, so it's very important, and also the plugin. Now, both of these are due to launch at this month. And then in terms of the rollout, a lot of people are just saying to us, so I'm just talking about kind of the end of kind of Q2 here. A lot of people are saying to us, are all these YouTubers going to make fan tokens and they just launch them on day one? Absolutely not. That is complete suicide. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of A/B testing, a lot of stuff that has to be done here. We're likely to roll one or two out at the start, but maybe let it run for a week or two, roll another two out. I'm a very data-driven person, so we really will want to look at the data, in every kind of place we have. Going forward in kind of Q3, we have a mobile app internally that already works. It kind of has YouTube kind of inside it. And we're going to release some teasers on that soon. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing coming in kind of Q3, because, most of your audience pool, well, maybe not in crypto, but probably most of your audience still does probably watch, on the mobile, right? So
Right.
us covering kind of the mobile users is a very, very key part. So for me, the plugin is massive, don't get me wrong, but the mobile app is even bigger.
Yeah, I was looking at your influencer market cap, where it goes into the full blown aspect here, and I want to talk to you about why choose Zilliqa as well. But when you look at the influencers here, obviously, where it looks like you're going down to the top 100 here. You've got some that are sub 1 million. I think the smallest looks like around 187K. Definitely not a lot of crypto YouTubers on here, for sure. When you look at the size, will size be indicative of the potential for the token itself in terms of performance, or do you see the potential here for very, let's say small to moderate size creators that just have very fanatical, audiences? Do you see that coming into play as opposed to just the pure size of subs?
I mean, of course, don't get me wrong. If you've got a lot of subscribers and a lot of viewers, your token's probably I'm gonna say maybe perform better at the start, because obviously the reach when you are promoting this to people is a lot more than, say, someone with 100K subscribers, right? But where the people that are loyal to people are like, let's say I'm watching you, Paul, and you've got 100,000 subscribers. I'm watching your channel in the very early days. I'm holding your fan token, and I'm holding your fan token and earning it, and I'm being loyal to you. I'm not just selling it. We're trying to drive in kind of utility and kind of loyalty here, not just
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get rich watching YouTube. I'm going to benefit in theory, and I need to be careful what I say here from a legal point of view with kind of price stuff. But in theory, the more that you grow, if I'm not investing in you early, but I'm kind of holding your token early and finding you early, the more that you grow as a creator, because you're going to have more people watching your videos as you grow. In theory, the token
Right.
demand should increase, right? So that's kind of the
Yeah.
behind it, and everyone gets excited about okay, it's cool, I almost said something. I always announce something without by accident. Yeah, let's just say, it's a big YouTuber's token. It's cool using it for the perks and stuff. But for me, what's even cooler is getting some of these small people, earning their tokens early, buying some of their tokens early, and getting access to perks early, like before they explode. I think
Yeah,
that's really
well,
cool.
it's like any project out there. If you get in on the ICO level or maybe in the early seed stages, I mean the potential for 10x, 100x, 1000x is definitely there from that aspect. Now, why choose Zilliqa as the blockchain to build on here?
Okay, so back when Zilliqa launched, I was using Ethereum quite a lot, and I started to notice that Bitcoin and Ethereum did not scale at all. I got really excited by Zilliqa, and I was very lucky to be a private investor in Zilliqa because it was one of the only things I could see. They had this new technology coming up, and it was the only things I could see that was possibly going to scale. Okay, this was a long time ago, way before all these other chains and stuff. It was the only thing that was kind of decentralized, secure, and kind of fast. So I started kind of, I've got a decent Twitter following, and I started kind of tweeting a little bit about, Zilliqa, and I kind of grew a following kind of the Zil community, and I grew a very, very close relationship with Max, who is the founder of Zilliqa.
Yep.
So when it came to doing, kind of my own token of mine project, because of kind of the community and stuff, and also my personal connections with, people like Max, there was kind of only one option, but for me, I love Zilliqa, nothing against Zilliqa, but for me, I think the future is multi-chain. Why just remain on one single chain when you can be on a few chains?
Yeah, so I definitely like the idea for multi-chain use case scenarios because I think that's going to be obviously going to be one of the key aspects of this, especially as you grow and the ability to scale into some new utility to cross over in that. Talk about the big creators. I saw Mr.Beast, KSI. How are these guys involved?
So they are invested. That's all we've announced so far, because we need to be very careful, because there's investors that have announced, and there's people doing fan tokens have announced. So I don't want to, until people are announced with fan tokens, people are just investors. But they backed the project. I think back before we launched. KSI, for example, has shown. I speak to KSI quite a lot, actually. He's shown, even on his main Twitter account, he's even spoke about XCAD. He's pretty good person to speak to as well, about kind of advice on kind of if you've got certain questions and stuff kind of around YouTube and kind of promotional stuff, he's a good guy to speak to. So they are just involved as investors so far, anyway. And the people that you see on Influencer Market Cap are the people that are issuing fan tokens, announced as fan tokens.
Yeah, it looks like your largest right here is Renato at 25 million subs, and then PDK Films.
There is bigger ones coming. There is bigger ones coming that will be announced in New York.
Very cool. All right, so lots happening, lots of being announced in New York on the rollout. When do you feel like we're going to start to see some critical mass here from, can you talk about how many users you have that are utilizing the Chrome plugin today?
I mean, the plugin is not launched yet. The plugin launches, in this month, actually. But in terms
Okay,
of users, it's, we have this thing internally where we're trying to work out, how many users we're going to have, because we're talking serious numbers here. If you've got YouTubers with 400 million subscribers,
yeah, they're going to get some
and
numbers.
yeah, we're talking big numbers, and we've got more to announce, right? But talking about kind of conversion rates on these things, I used to run e-commerce websites and use influencers to do influencer marketing for my product, and a conversion rate up to even 1% was amazing at times, but I was selling them like an actual product, right? Now it's a little bit different, because if I can get
Exactly.
rewarded for watching your video, okay, which I already do anyway, even if I'm not earning much money, I'm not changing anything, I'm getting rewarded with something. So why would I not use this? You see? So in
Yeah.
terms of, I don't want to say the conversion rates that we expect, because I don't want people to hold me to it, but I expect the conversion rate to be a lot higher than if you're just selling a kind of standard product. I mean, imagine if
Yeah.
that 400 million you can capture 5%. I mean, that's probably one of the most used DApps in the space, and that's insane, really, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think your magic sauce here, I mean, because if you look at Brave and the Brave browser plugin they've used for earning while you're just surfing,
Yep.
the missing link there for Brave was that they didn't have an influencer and or a YouTuber community that's out there pitching the whole
Yep.
program on an ongoing basis. So I think the secret sauce definitely going after the YouTube community is going to be your win here for sure in terms of potential growth and scaling,
Yep.
because this could go this could go crazy for you guys. Are you ready for scalability from a technology standpoint to be able to get to this kind of potential fast uptake?
Yeah, I believe so. Once again, we've had discussions about this internally quite a lot, and I've been reassured by the team. And like I said, one of the main guys leading this used to do a lot of stuff at EA, and he's pretty confident that in terms of scalability from a tech point of view, we're not going to have any issues there.
Yeah. Well, this will be interesting because this will be, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. I don't know what your total number will be in terms of how many, right now, based on what you've got, dedicated into XCAD, how many total subs, if you compiled all of your potential XCAD members, would you be at today?
300 million, maybe 350
300
million.
million? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to put, the question will be is whether or not this stresses this, the Zilliqa ecosystem and creates any kind of congestion, because we've already seen this happen around a lot of blockchain. Zilliqa has not launched on any major platforms yet, at least not that I'm aware of. The Zilliqa community, when they watch this, will probably correct me, on some things that are out there. But you're talking about 300 million potential subs, and even at a fraction of that, and the likelihood is that once you get where you're scaling this, that you could go to 1 billion subs easily. And that's a lot of transactions, especially if even only 3% of that market downloads the plugin and starts engaging on this on an ongoing basis. This is going to be interesting to watch for sure. Listen, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for stopping in. We're going to watch XCAD very closely. I'm definitely going to tune into your June 16th event to see what you guys have up your sleeve.
Or attend. I can send you an invite. And just on the utility thing, because I think there's a few things I didn't mention. In order to use the plugin, by the way, you have to stake kind of XCAD, and there's kind of different tiers to kind of XCAD. And XCAD is also used as gas, even though at the back end of the minute it's Zilliqa, or maybe another chain that we're going to be announcing in New York. But because a user having 2 tokens is a little bit confusing, right? So obviously the fact that people have to stake and lock up XCADs, we're talking small amounts, by the way, right? We're not talking large amounts, because we're targeting retail people. People that watch people's YouTube channels are not going to be able to afford to do like GMT, do 50 grand, NFT. It's completely, I'm going to say, a different type of market.
Exactly.
But on a scale, this adds up. Especially when the XCADs are kind of coming off the market, that people need to use the plugin instead of from the company's treasury.
Yeah, very cool. Oliver, great talking to you. It's going to be fun to watch XCAD grow. We'll be watching very closely. Thanks for stopping in.
Facebook. Take care, man. Thank you.
You bet. All right, so you guys are tuned in over on the podcast side of things right now. Make sure and tune in over here to the YouTube channel. This is where you're going to catch all the good stuff. And of course, it's a great place for you to join in on our Diamond Circle, which is where we do a direct private member group. We drop a couple of emails to you. We do a lot of insights. We drop a couple of videos over there that we don't do here on YouTube as well. And it's also the gateway into a couple of our other programs that are really cool. One, of course, the Crypto Power Index, and we have something really special coming soon. So make sure and stay tuned right here, because there's some hot stuff coming from PBN. If you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.